everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Peter Bludau. I'm a research associate at Fortis. And today I want to show you the technology radar we developed over the last 2 years at Fortis. You maybe know the technology radar of ThoughtWorks, where experts try to rank all the available technologies and give you an idea if you should use or adapt these technologies. However, it is quite hard to rank all the existing technologies by expert opinion. So we decided to develop a technology radar which uses quantitative measures to get all the information about technologies, their relationships, and rank them based on their importance on the job market or on open source platforms like GitHub. Across your development process as a developer, you will use different tools, and it is important that you know which tools work well together. We also want to tackle this issue and show you which tool chains are normally used and how they interrelate with each other. So the question that remains is basically, how do you know which tools and technologies are the best tools for your specific use case in your specific industrial context? So we decided to create a website which is a quick search for all technologies and their relationships. You can filter by technologies or by categories, where you can, for example, put cloud computing providers and you get Azure, AWS, Google Kubernetes Engine, and so on. We also wanted to make it possible to have a good comparison between these technologies and how they relate to each other. So, for example, if you search for Python, you will get Flask as a web development service. We also provide some trends to show you how stable the technology is over time and if the technology got traction during the last, let's say, 4 months. In total, we want to assist small and medium enterprises to choose the best technology for their specific use case and to track new developments on the market. And now I want to show you how we construct this trend radar. And basically, it's a two-step process where we first create a knowledge graph for all the technologies and their relationships, and then calculate a score and a trend based on these information. For the graph creation, we have different data sources. For example, we use Wikimedia, GitHub, GitLab, Stack Overflow, and we also crawl daily job ads to get a feeling how the demand of a technology develops on the job market. We then use some pre-processing and machine learning to extract relationships for all the technologies. But first of all, we get meta information and information about the technologies. For example, we get the description from Stack Overflow, GitHub Explorer, which is a crowdsourced repository with a lot of technology information, and Wikipedia. Since our tool is available in German and English, we use DeepL to translate all the English description text to German, which actually works quite well. We then get images and icons and further information like blog posts, documentation, websites, project websites from these sources. But more importantly, we extract the relationships. At the moment, we have 3 different kinds of relationships, which are frequently used with, similar to, and is category of. Frequently used with just means how often do technologies occur together in Git repositories, on Stack Overflow posts, or in job ads. We therefore use word concurrence matrices like TF-IDF and just take the measure how often they occur together as a reason to introduce a edge for this relationship between 2 technologies. For similar to, we use word2vec and sense2vec models, which basically represent each technology as a vector And by using simple vector calculations, you can calculate the distance between two technologies and then get a similarity measure for these technologies. We have one Word2Vec model for Stack Overflow posts and one for the job ads. Last but not least, we also extract a category measure. So to get back to my example from the beginning, if you have Azure and AWS and use their description texts, you can, by micro understanding the sentences, you can extract the categories from these description texts. After creating the graph, we periodically update the graph to incorporate new technologies, but also to enhance the current relationships that are in the graph. Once we have finished the graph creation, we can calculate a score and a trend for every technology. Therefore, we use time series analysis. We have basically 2 years of data for every of our data sources. And so we can, by simply using financial indicators like MACD or sloping mechanics, calculate a trend for every technology. So if the relative occurrence of a technology is rising over time, you could say the technology is trending. By combining this trend value with the relative occurrence of a technology, we then calculate a score, which tells us, based and ranked on all the technologies, which technologies are the most demanded or supported in the industry or in the field. You can take a look at our demonstrator at cce.forest.org/trends and check all these data out yourself. There is the possibility that you search for simple technologies or for categories of technologies like cloud computing providers, and you can see all the data over time. You also get an extract from the relationship graph we have in our database, and you can compare different technologies with each other. Thanks very much for your attention. If you have any questions or suggestions for the Trend Radar, I'll be in chat right now. And if you have any further questions, you can send me an email on the displayed email address.
Hi everyone. I'm Andrea, the founder of Andare Consulting and Coaching. We accompany people and organizations in IT and tech-related transformation processes, providing change management, communications, coaching, and organizational development to our clients. I'm a leadership expert, just like you. I mean, not all of us are leadership experts in terms of book smartness, but all of us are leadership experts in terms of street smartness. I mean, ever since we are born, we lead and are being led, right? So we all somehow know what we're talking about. So within the next couple of minutes, I'm happy to share some of my ideas and thoughts on leadership with you, addressing 3 perspectives. It's better me, it's better teams, and better innovation. So let's dive into the better me perspective by asking, do you think leadership qualities do always come along with a certain age? I don't think so. Often in history, it was the young to inspire the old. And I'm convinced that the young are inspiring leaders not despite, but because of their age. They naturally display 3 of my most important leadership characteristics, which is authenticity, it's humility, and it's humanism. The older we get, the more we start pretending and hiding parts of our personality in order to fit into a system. This saves energy, of course, but it costs authenticity. And I know what I'm talking about because I grew up in a teeny tiny village where I went with the flow of an unwritten set of social rules. And of course, this made my life easy and free of outer conflicts, but at the same time, I somehow felt the urgent need to critically question constraints. And by this two sides of the medal, I felt somehow torn and full of inner conflicts. It somehow made it impossible to align my convictions and my social behavior. Later, after a good dose of self-reflection, I understood that my most important values are individualism, liberty, and autonomy. I mean, a killer to someone living in a small village. And this very insight was eye-opening to me. Long story short, authenticity means practicing what we preach. And doing this, it might reveal helpful leadership behavior like being honest with ourselves and others, or the ability to give and receive critical feedback, or to dare to make mistakes. I mean, we all know mistakes can help us grow. So what prevents us from embracing our mistakes? Self-centricity, it is, I'd say. As Simon Sinek says, the value of leadership is not measured by the work you do, it's measured by the work you inspire others to do. So let me ask, can self-centric people ever be good leaders? Are they able to let someone else shine? What do you think? This brings me to the next Better Me characteristic, which unfortunately did not receive much attention in the leadership research until recently. It's humility, to which I refer in terms of Buddhism. It's don't take yourself too important. And watching the current act on the big world stage might give us an idea how important humility could be, as it leads us from it's all about me to it's all about we. So humility can bring us into the same team. Leadership does not take effect in a one-man show, right? So welcome to the Better Team chapter, to which I dedicate the third leadership characteristic too. It's humanism. And in our today's VUCA world, we can neither rely on strategies as they are moving faster than ever, nor on products or services as they're tied to changing needs. So after all, we can only rely on the people we're gonna face our next challenges with. Everything else is transcending, and listening to the experts talking about artificial intelligence, they disagree a lot, but they are at one that machines cannot replace empathy. In this regard, I love Minouche Shafik saying, in the past, jobs were about muscles. Now they're about brains, but in the future, they'll be about the heart. And talking about hearts has nothing romantic. I mean, the heart only represents the characteristics that distinguish us from machines, like compassion or resilience or trust. So not our cognitive, but our emotional intelligence will be key for customer, user, and employer centricity. So in the end, it's all about the people and about using sensitive teams to catalyze innovation. So now we're talking about better innovation, having a look at leadership in IT and tech. And the good news is that leadership requirements in IT and tech do not differ from leadership requirements anywhere else. It's authenticity, humility, and humanism. So what makes leadership in IT and tech so special then? To me, it's the frame conditions in which innovation emerges. We experience a shift of strategies in the who follows who debate, asking, do IT still follows business, or is business already following IT? And to me, it seems to be a struggle of who is more important to the value chain of the company. But hey, what about if both are important equally? So why don't we stop fighting this self-centered master-servant battle if it would be way more efficient to switch between pacing and leading on demand? On the one side, IT needs to run in order to provide the business with IT services. Here, IT is in a pacing mode. On the other side, IT plans and builds as innovation driver. Here, IT is in a leading position. But soon, we won't be able to strictly separate plan, build, and run any longer. Instead, we'll go for multi-speed models that require fast action and reaction. And with this, leaders in IT and tech will have to face two challenges: drawing visions whilst anticipating when it's time to switch gears, and keep inspiring in uncertainty in order to bring out the best in the people. So, Let's stop talking about the ROI, the return on invest. Instead, let's start talking about the ROI, the return on inspiration, which is innovation. And leadership has neither to do with the management nor with positions or disciplinary responsibilities. Leadership is a mindset. It's about personality. It's a choice. But before we start leading others, we have to start leading ourselves. So, what about you? What's your next level? Write me. Thanks for joining and keep in touch. Which I dedicate the third leadership correction.